Okay, pause the YouTube. SixftHax here. Happy you guys today. The team builder for week number 2 of GBA D League Season 4, where your Durham Druddigons will be taking on the Exeter Chief Electivires, coached by Melontosh. Now, if you guys may have missed our week 1 match or our draft analysis, a link to those will be down in the description, as well as a link to our opponent, Mr. Melontosh, who had a dominant showing in week 1 of GBA D League Season 4 against a player that a lot of people think is really good, which is its Gregulator, or its Jonulator, or its Snakulator, however you want to refer to him as. And I'm really nervous going into this match. I'm more nervous going into this match than I regularly am, because the big thing about this matchup is that Melontosh 100% has draft matchup against us. What I mean by that is that there's not really anything that we could properly bring to deal with all the insane threats that Melontosh has. I thought I said somebody. That Melontosh has on his draft, and that's really bad for us. I feel like I wouldn't be as nervous about this matchup if it wasn't only the second week going into D League, but I firmly think that we're going to lose this just because of how terrible of a matchup we have and how great Melontosh performed in week 1. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be trying my best to win, and shouts out to my front office homies for helping me build for this week's matchup. So let's take a look at the matchup down below me. As you can see, as always, the top 6 Pokemon are what I'm mainly expecting. If I were to bet any money, Zygarde, Mew, Zardwy, and Rotom Wash are the 4 main mons I think are definitely coming. Dragon Dance, Z-Drake, Zygarde just kind of sweeps late game, which is terrifying. Physically defensive Mew deals with so much of our physically offensive mons. We literally have no switch-ins to modest Charizard Y in the sun, so that's really scary. Rotom Wash makes a lot of sense because it's his best answer for our Infernape and potentially his best defogger going into this game. And then as for the final 2 mons, I firmly believe that he needs to bring at least one of his 2 ghost types, whether it be Gengar or Spiritomb, to be able to deal with our Mega Medicham. And then for the 6th mon, it can literally be either Snorlax, Piloswine, or Victory Bell. Now, I don't expect Cobalion or Slurpuff, because the only way those 2 mons really do any damage to our team is if they're able to set up, and they can't really set up freely on too much on our team, so I'm not too concerned about them. But Victory Bell and Piloswine definitely have a good chance of being his final mons that could come to this game. But Zygarde, Mew, Zardwy, and Rotom Wash, I fully expect. Snorlax makes a lot of sense just because it's legitimately his best way of stopping Magearna from just ripping his team apart. Like, without Snorlax, Magearna comes in, shift gears after a Soul Heart boost, and just sweeps. So I really expect him to bring Snorlax. If he brings Assault Vest, that's really good for us. If he brings a Papa Berry or Mago Berry or something like that, that could be a little bit more annoying, but we should still kind of be able to deal with it. But either way, this matchup is just really terrible for us because we can't really prep for everything that he wants to bring, and that's the real scary thing about this game. So with that out the way, let's take a look at our first team member here. So first off, we have Drew McIntyre, aka Zoroark, returning for our week 2 match here, running a nice mixed offensive Dread Plate set. Now, his only real switch into this is Slurpuff. Now, Sticky Web Slurpuff does kind of make some sense in this matchup, but that's where Taunt is so handy for Zoroark, and I really want to give a big thanks to my front office that did help me build for this, because they suggested Taunt as our final move, because Taunt honestly just stops so much of his setup mons and potentially hazard setting up mons. Also, it stops him from defogging with Rotom or the Mew if we are able to get up rocks for the Charizard Y, which you best believe I am bringing rocks for Charizard Y just because of how scary, big, scary, terrifying that thing is in this matchup. So Taunt stops Dragon Dance Zygarde, Defog rocks Mew, Roost from Zard Y. Actually, we have Hidden Power Rock for Charizard Y, which is amazing. We do about 60 to almost being able to OHKO it depending on how much HP and Spadef investment he's running. We stop Rotom from defogging, Will-O-Wisping, Pain Splitting. We stop Snorlax from potentially being able to go for Whirlwind, Rest, or Curse. We stop Spiritomb from resting, Will-O-Wisping, Calm Minding. We stop Piloswine from rocking. We stop Slurpuff from belly drumming, Calm Minding, Cotton Guarding, or getting up webs even. So it does kind of suck that we don't really have a move to hit Cobalion, but the rest of our team should be able to kind of deal with Cobalion accordingly, so I'm not too concerned about that. But between Knockoff and Dark Pulse, outside of Slurpuff and Cobalion, which again I really don't expect in this game, then we can just kind of pressure a lot of his team. And again, Hidden Power Rock does so much damage to the Zard Y, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping that if we're able to play with Zoroark correctly, it can do some work, maybe open up some holes for the rest of our team. But Zoroark does have a really great matchup regardless. So our next team member here is going to be Guerrero, aka Infernape, rocking a nice Assault Vest set. Now I know this set looks a little bit weird, and this is the first match for Infernape, and he's not even running an offensive set, but he is running a nice defensive Assault Vest set. This is our legitimate check to Mega Charizard Y. Now I know you guys are thinking, well Leo, Charizard Y can learn Air Slash, but what you guys need to think about is that look at our matchup. There's really no reason for him to run Air Slash on Megazard Y. He needs Fire Blast, like literally modest Fire Blast, 2 KOs, Thick Fat Miltank, and 2 KOs, Max Spadef, Max HP Cresselia. Let that sit, like pause this and let that sink in. It 2-hit KOs, Max Spadef, Max HP, Calm Natured, Cresselia, and Miltank. That's disgusting. Like Zard Y is so terrifying to switch into in this matchup. And that's why I really do not expect him to have the Air Slash. He wants to have Fire Blast. He wants to have Focus Blast to guarantee 2 KO Miltank. He should have Solar Beam for the Alomomola, and then he can always have the Roost to guarantee being able to have some type of recovery. Now, in his week 1 match against Greg, he brought a more bulky variant of Zard Y, which is what I kind of expect this time around as well. Regardless though, if he does want to try and speed creep us, he can easily run modest max speed and max special attack, because that guarantees outspeeding our Rotom Frost, which honestly Rotom Frost with Trick and Scarf doesn't have the worst matchup, but it does cover him outspeeding all of those mons except for the mons that he's not able to naturally outspeed, like Zoroark, Zygarde, and Infernape, all 3 of which he does not need to have a timid nature for. So he can easily run modest this time around to be able to outspeed basically everything else on our squad. So I would bet money that he's not going to have Fire Blast. I really don't think he's going to have Fire Blast. So if he doesn't have Fire Blast, then that's going to be amazing, because then Infernape can switch into it. Also, a great thing about Infernape, in the sun, we can 2-hit KO Rotom with Solar Beam, and we can 2-hit KO Mew with Fire Blast. So that means if we're able to get rid of his defoggers and we're able to get up rocks, then Zard Y is not as big of an issue, which is absolutely amazing. So Fire Blast in the sun is beautiful. Close combat, of course, is nice to kind of hit his Piloswine and his Snorlax, and I guess Cobalion potentially. And then Rock Tomb, while it's not able to OHKO Zard Y, I don't want to take the chance of missing Rock Slide or the Stone Edge. So I figured Rock Tomb wouldn't be that bad. Plus, it kind of gives us some form of pseudo speed control if he doesn't bring Zard Y. then we can have speed control against something like the Gengar. I don't really know. But next off, we have here our Magearna set, and this Magearna is very interesting because it's a setup Magearna while also kind of being a defensive pivot and kind of support mon. Now, I know it's a little bit odd to have Shift Gear and Heal Bell, but something I recently realized about Magearna is that it doesn't get toxic, and that really sucks. If Magearna could learn toxic, I would definitely have toxic over Heal Bell, but I mean Heal Bell still does kind of have its merits and benefits either way. But yeah, Shift Gear Magearna legitimately just wins once we get rid of the Snorlax or the Zygarde, or if we're able to just weaken them enough. Between Thunderbolts and Flash Cannon, we have a decent stab move and we have a decent coverage move. Like, we hit everything for super effective or neutral damage with Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon. So the great thing about this set as well is that if I show him that I have the Heal Bell, he may not think that I'm carrying Shift Gear later in the match. So that could be something that we could very well bluff and then take advantage of. So we are running max HP with enough speed to guarantee outspeed his entire team that is not Scarfed after a Shift Gear with modest nature and 148 special attack EVs. We are doing very solid damage with 68 SPDEF EVs along with our max HP investment. We can still pivot into potential Life Orb Gengar. If he doesn't have Life Orb Gengar, then that's going to be really good for us because he's not going to be Z-Move. I don't think he would bring Specs either. His Z-Mons are the Victory Bell and the Zygarde. So if he's not Life Orb Gengar, he can't really do too much damage to our Magearna, and then we can take advantage of that. So there's not really, I guess, too much to say about Magearna besides that it's kind of a Pithomon this match. It can still kind of dent his team around, scout his team, and potentially sweep late game with the Shift Gear if he doesn't expect us to have it. So our next team member is going to be Karma, aka Miltank, making her debut for the Durham Druddigons. Now, the great thing about Miltank in this game with a SPDEF nature and Choppleberry is that this kind of acts as a pseudo check to the Charizard Y. Again, I firmly believe he is going to run Focus Blast on the Charizard Y with Fire Blast, Solar Beam, and Roost. If he doesn't have Solar Beam, which I guess does kind of make a little bit of sense, he may have like Substitute or Toxic, I'm not too sure, but Focus Blast does make a lot of sense because it's his best way of being able to just plow through SPDEF bulky Miltank. Even though Fire Blast can potentially be a 2-hit KO, he still may want to run Focus Blast, and that's where Choppleberry is going to come extremely in handy because with the Rock Tomb, we do about 50% min if he's running max HP investment on the Zard Y, and that's nice because after the Rock Tomb and him being at -1 speed, we then outspeed him, so we could, in theory, 2-hit KO him. This is also our most reliable Stealth Rocker going into this game. This can also kind of function as a backup check to a potential offensive Gengar, where we can live a Focus Blast if he's Life Orb, Rock Tomb, then outspeed and just kind of Rock Tomb him again, and then if he misses Focus Blast, that's going to be great. But mainly Miltank is here to kind of act as a backup check to the Zard Y, get up rocks, and then maybe spread Toxic around. Like, Toxic is amazing for a Recycle Snorlax. It's really amazing for the Mew. It's also helpful against the Rotom or the Zygarde potentially, and even the Piloswine possibly. So it is a little bit odd that our only offensive move is Rock Tomb, but we didn't really need Body Slam as an offensive move. If you guys kind of get what I'm saying, like Rock Tomb in itself, while being a damaging move, also functions as a speed control move. So that's really good, I think. So next off, we have Cresselia. Now, Cresselia is awesome this match because not only can this really check so much of his physically offensive mons, this is our main answer to Zygarde, where we can live a +2 Adamant Z Drake, if I'm not mistaken, which is absurdly insane, honestly. But the main thing about it is that I'm probably gonna aggressively switch this in against Zygarde if I do expect him to want to set up. So then that way he can't Dragon Dance again freely, because Ice Beam already is a straight 2-hit KO on purely offensive Zygarde. Coil Zygarde, in my opinion, doesn't make a lot of sense, because he wants to have something to outrun a potential Scarfed Rotom Frost, which could just Blizzard Zygarde regardless. Or we could bring Scarfed HP Ice on like Infernape potentially, so that kind of makes a little bit of sense, or like a Scarfed Miltank with Ice Punch even. So I expect him to be Dragon Dance with Z Drake, and Cresselia is our best answer to that. So the great thing about this set as well is that if we're able to Calm Mind 2 times, I honestly think Cresselia just kind of sweeps him. Like, if he doesn't have, well, I guess it does make sense for him to have Toxic on Mew or the Rotom Wash potentially, and even Piloswine, but we have Heal Bell on Magearna as well. So if we're able to get rid of those threats, get rid of any status on Cresselia, this comes in, Calm Minds twice, and it's pretty much good game. After a single Calm Mind, not even Life Orb Gengar can 2-hit KO Cresselia, which is insane, because Life Orb Gengar just hits like a truck, but that just goes to show you the bulk of Cresselia. So I really think Cresselia could put in a lot of work this match, honestly. So alright guys, so this is future Leo kind of intruding on present Leo here for this team motor. Now this part is going to be recorded after I did my actual match against Melon, and the main reason why I wanted to record this is because Zydog literally did nothing. I'm not saying that I just sacked it off, or that I didn't send it out, or it literally did nothing. And the great thing about that is that I wasn't able to really show the set I was running on Zydog, I should say. So if it comes down to me and Melon having to play again in the potential playoffs, I would really like to keep this set a secret. But our final mon that we did bring was Zydog, and Zydog, I think regardless, had a good matchup, because if you look at team preview, he doesn't really have a good switch in 2000 arrows, so something like Choice Banded did make a lot of sense. We might have even been able to run something like Dragon Dance with a Memento. I'm not really too sure, but our last mon was Zydog, and I didn't really want to spoil the set that we did bring. Obviously it wasn't max special attack and max speed, but just yeah, here's a quick run through of our team again. We have Cresselia, we have Miltank, Magearna, Guerrero, the Infernape, and Zoroark. So with that being said, guys, hammer arm that thumbs up button down below. You guys have been showing such great support to the team builder videos, and I want to thank you guys so much. Honestly, the team builders have been doing so much better than I had expected for P4G and GBA D League week 1. Like, they did so well, so thank you guys so much. Hopefully y'all can continue to show the support for the rest of the season, and just yeah, I will see you guys all tomorrow with GBA D League week 2, the actual match itself, and hopefully we can pull out a victory here. If not, then we're gonna go 1-1 going into week 3. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Later, everybody.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends, it's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6-foot hacks. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks.